Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I wanted to update to those of you who were wondering how I am, how things are going, having just lost my mum a month ago. I may cry, but basically I just want to be very honest about how I'm feeling, some of the things that we've been going through, and kind of how it was going back to the UK. So just a brief summary of what's happened in the past month. I mean, how so much can change in just a month's time and change forever. I get waves. I'll talk more about this feeling of grief later, but there are waves of just completely not really believing it's real. And yet then you get a smack in the face, if you like, of it being so very real. And it's navigating these waves of sadness, disbelief, gratitude to have had her, all these different things going on. Anyway, so my mum died very suddenly of a heart attack a month ago, and I flew to the UK 24 hours after I heard the news from Japan, where I live, with my very busy 10-month-old baby. He was actually really good on the flight, and even other passengers said to me, "Your baby was so good." He squeaked a few times, but basically he slept and enjoyed playing with his mummy. So I landed in Heathrow, and my brother-in-law kindly picked me up from the airport, drove me straight down to my hometown in Wales, where all my family were. And as I live near the beach, and as we started to drive along that beach, I felt butterflies in my stomach. I felt nervous to return to the home that was hers, my family home for the many years that I've been around. And it was really good to see my family, not just to meet them on that day, but throughout the time being in the UK for just shy of a month. It was good to be there together, to cry together, to laugh together. When my family get together, we generally just party, and we did some celebrating of her life. That's how we described the funeral. We said that this is a celebration of her life. And I think in some respects, we partied because we didn't really know what else to do, and to sit with that unbearable sadness is just like, we just don't want to do it. I mean, I know sometimes we have to, and I do think that to grieve fully, you have to go through that darkness, that dark place, which perhaps I'm in right now. You have to go through it in order to come out to the other side, to a place of acceptance. But when I was in the UK, yeah, it was good to be together and to enjoy being like a family. And it's just, you know, it's that bittersweet reality that the reason we're all together is because mum will never be there again. Yet at the same time being able to enjoy, for example, time being silly with my sister or time hanging out with my dad. It was quite surreal, not just the fact that mum wasn't there, but also to suddenly find myself in the UK. Whenever I do go to the UK, I'm thinking about it and planning it and really excited for the holiday. Whereas there, I kind of felt like I was already there in the UK before my brain had caught up with what was going on. And so it was strange, and it wasn't, you know, I hadn't like planned, I didn't meet any friends, I hadn't like planned things that I wanted to do. I did bring back some souvenirs, some like chocolates and tea and things that I like from the UK, but I had to go to the supermarket several times in order to actually buy what I needed, because I couldn't really think straight. I went into the supermarket and I just look around and not be able to focus on what was it that I wanted, and actually maybe I don't need anything. Your brain functions in a very different way with grief, I think. But yeah, it was good to see my family. That was definitely the silver lining. Oh, tea's delicious. They really enjoyed seeing my baby, who is extremely busy and active, and actually a very welcome distraction, I think, for many of them. He enjoyed going to the park and playing on the swings with my dad, his grandfather, and yeah, just being a smiley little noisy creature to entertain everyone. I will say though that I think as the mother, you have to be on with a baby. Like, they don't understand what's going on, and when they need to sleep, they need to sleep. They don't mind if it's the middle of a funeral. You know, he doesn't get it in the way that we get it and we feel it. And in some ways it's nice because it keeps me going. But in other ways, since coming back to Japan, I kind of feel like I just want to hide under my duvet and just cry and be alone. But of course I can't do that with a baby. So, and I think in the UK, having him around stopped me from really grieving. Also, for me, when I can pick up on the sadness of other people, and especially people that I love and I care about, when I see that kind of sadness, I have to put on a brave face and be the one who is okay, and you know, kind of be like, come on, let's go and get a glass of wine, or come on, let's go for a lovely walk, it's a beautiful day today. And I kind of turn it on and swallow my own grief, I think. But I knew, firstly, I knew that I would have to face it someday, and the second thing is that I knew that when I was in my space, I could close the front door and cry and just be a mess by myself. But when I'm with my family and I wanted everyone to be okay, I just switched it on. And also, in less than a month after she passed, we had to plan the funeral. So, like, big thanks to my sister. She basically did the majority of the work. But we were doing things like going to a funeral director, or ordering the flowers, or buying all these little things to make her send-off beautiful. And so we were kind of busy, and it's like, the way that I talk about it is like project funeral, where we're just getting on with all these things to do with the funeral. And it isn't until after the funeral that this big empty space really hits you hard. I honestly felt in the UK that she'd just gone to the shops or something and she'd be back soon. Or the reason she wasn't like cooking right now is because my dad was cooking instead, but she'd be back soon. It didn't feel real, and I was in a place of disbelief, I would say. Not denial, because I accepted that factually happened, but I couldn't emotionally process it. Now I feel that I'm grieving, and I think since coming to Japan, it's hit me really hard. Being a mother myself right now, I see how your mother is your everything at a certain stage of your life. And now this happening, I feel like I've lost my ground, and I don't know how I feel. It's like I'm both like really happy, like to have my beautiful baby, and really sad to have lost one of the most important people of my life. I'm kind of like a mixture of both, and then yet nothing. I go through from feeling completely fine, going to the shops, living my life, doing my normal thing, and then crying in the mushroom section. Like, you just can't control it. And in some ways I don't want to. I want to feel all my emotions, but it's really hard, and it's not fun. It's really poo, I would say. And I think the hardest thing for me right now is I have 35 years of a reality with her in it. So even though she was geographically very far away from me, living in the UK and me living in Japan, she was always there. I could always pick up the phone or always send her a message, and she was always like there. So this reality is an automatic thing in my mind. It just keeps going, like my reality. And then the difficult bit is when this old reality and this 1 month old reality in which she is not there clash. And it's, for example, I think things like, right, I've got to tell mum about that. And then the new reality is like, wait, mum is no more. That clash it hits me like a bullet in the chest. It winds me, like I can't breathe. And that's, I think, when it really upsets me, the fact that, the finality of it all is just bizarre. And it's like, I know the only thing we know when we are born is that we will die one day. But the viciousness, the suddenness, I found myself saying, she must have known. We must have known to some extent that this would happen, because how could such a life-changing, dramatic thing happen just in the blink of an eye? It doesn't make any sense to me. So it's tough. And another reason I think it was so hard coming back to Japan, or as in like my grief really hit me coming back to Japan, is that I saw the Ali of a month ago who was so excited for her mother to visit, well, her parents to visit in a month's time. They were supposed to be coming for baby's first birthday party in December. And obviously now my mum's not going to be there, but I had prepared silly little things. Like I bought this cute bowl that I knew she would love. And I bought this yuzu sparkling drink because she loves yuzu and ume and all this stuff, so I bought her that. And then when I'm back home putting stuff away and I open the cupboard and I see that bowl in there, and it's undescribable, really. I can't even open that drawer because it's painful. It's really painful. It's physically my mind's gone completely blank. Hang on, let me have some tea. So the funeral itself was beautiful. I mean, it was such a lovely send-off. She was received into the church the night before because she loved her church, and we knew that she would appreciate a church sleepover. So we took her body to stay there overnight. And the day after we had the funeral, it was very emotional. But my sister and I, we made it a really singing mass. There was lots of singing and some beautiful songs that she would love. I did the eulogy, and that was emotional. But it was my way of saying goodbye to my mum in a very honest, vulnerable way. I'm glad that I made it through. I cried a bit, but I basically managed. And my brother did a beautiful reading about love, which is actually a reading from the Bible, which is often used in weddings, but we found it appropriate and very fitting for mum. And her best friend read a beautiful poem as well. And then after that, we went to the crematorium because she had wanted to be cremated. And my nephew did a stunning poem which he wrote himself, which I was blown away. I was like, if you don't want to be a doctor anymore, you could be a poet, because he's very talented. And then we said goodbye to the body and went off and celebrated her life with a party. And the day after that I flew back to Japan. So I think just the intensity of it all was real. And now I'm just trying to navigate my life as best I can. I can't sleep, not just because I'm in a sort of weird state of shock, but also because my baby has decided to start waking up at 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So it's not the best for sleeping right now, but I have to be grateful for what I have. And one of that is having a very supportive, loving husband who does not understand what I'm going through, because he's not been through it himself, thank God, but is able to hold space for me. And when I just randomly start crying at the dinner table, he just lets me do my thing. And if I'm snappy and rude, he lets it go. And he flew for just 1 week to be there for me, for the funeral, and to fly back with me with baby, which was a massive sense of relief. To have him there, just my rock, my amazing human in my life, and just in my just there when I really needed him. Like, that meant so much to me. It was also our wedding anniversary on the night of the wake, so when we took Mum to the church, and just the fact that he wasn't selfish about that. He was just there for me and my family 100%. In a way, that was like the best anniversary gift, that I have this amazing man who is with me in sickness and in health, in ugly crying and random outbursts of needing to drink lots of wine. So thank you, husband. And I think I'm going to end with some things that I learnt. I learnt how important family is and how fragile life is, how it is about now. There's nothing like death to remind you how to be a good person. Of course, it's like, oh, I should have been more like this. I wish I said I love you more. I wish I'd called you more. But ultimately, wishing and regretting is a waste of energy. All we can do now is say these things and do these things to the people who are here. And all of us, the family, are so there for each other. We have a family chat, we're catching up and we're checking in and sending photos and videos, and that feels really important to me right now, like that sense of supporting one another. It's comforting, and I know that Mum would have really loved that too. Another thing I've learned is to be gentle. I mean, I'm someone that really likes to push. I run marathons for fun. and right now I just can't. And I think instead of being annoyed at myself at being unable to do the things that I used to do so easily, like send emails and make videos and things like that, I think it's a case of just giving myself grace and going slowly and asking for help, which is another thing I hate to do. But since being back in Japan, I've said to my husband very clearly, I know you have a full-time job and you're doing your bit for the family, like for sure. I just need help in terms of parenting, because I'm trying my best, but in this situation, I don't feel my best is enough. And just being okay with that. Like, I do push and I do like to be, I like to give 110%, but right now I feel like I'm not in a good place. And I'm trying my best with baby steps and being, deep breaths and trying to stay calm. But it is really hard for me right now. It's just, it's a lot. But yeah, trying to be kind to myself. So a last note then maybe is about my tea, which is a random way to finish talking about my mother passing and grief. But this tea always has it's a yogi tea, and it has little sayings, proverbs and ideas on the thing. And I've just seen this one and it's beautiful. It says, the purpose of life is to know yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and be yourself. And that's really funny because in my eulogy, I actually thanked my mum for having the courage to be herself. And, I said that I was not the perfect daughter, but you never expected me to be. All you wanted was for me to be myself. And so by having the courage to be myself, I feel is a way of allowing my mum to live on through me. So, yeah, thanks, Teabag, for reminding me. Okay, I will say goodbye, but thank you for listening, and thank you for just, some of you have left such thoughtful, loving, warm words, which make me feel less alone and that I'm supported and that I can get through this. So thank you so much. And I will say goodbye and see you next time. Bye bye.